What's going on, everybody? This is Brandon.
And this is Chad from Ryan and Chad.
Welcome back to Comixkings. Welcome back to the Kingdom. If this is your first time, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. That really helps. Doesn't cost anything. Join the party. Join the family that is the Kingdom. Really helps us out. Really goes a long way. Another thing you can do for free. No charge whatsoever. Don't hurt. Hit that thumbs up button. Show your support. Appreciate everyone coming in here for the live today. We have a very special topic. As you guys know, it's Tag Team Thursday. You know we're going over No Good Comics next. But there has been some news lately that we're getting a new Batman writer. Okay, that's the writer who had probably the best modern Flash run, I think. Not so great on team books, but it is Joshua Williamson. I have a lot of mixed feelings. I'm very excited, but I'm also kind of reserved about it to a degree. Chad, how are you doing today? Thank you for joining me today.
I'm doing awesome, man. Thanks for having me. That's right. I was. It made sense, this writer. When the announcement was made clear who was going to be jumping on the Batman title, and I heard his name, I was not very surprised. So I had a decent idea what DC was thinking and why they went with this writer.
Right. His contract also makes sense from a standpoint from reading DC Comics for many years. Now, they've always kind of had that tenured writer pushing their continuity forward. Like, they always have that helm that Marvel kind of has a collaborative team, each doing their own segments, coming in one bigger universe. DC's always had one person, and they're all backing that plan. In the New 52, it was Jeff Johns leading up to the Darkseid War. Once he went over to TV, they're like, okay, we need something else. That's when we got Year of the Villain in Rebirth. After Rebirth, we were in that era where it's like, we're not in Rebirth, but we're in Rebirth, but it's Scott Snyder's era. Now we're in the Joshua Williamson era, where he's heading the Infinite Frontier book that has been one of my least favorite books to come out, but he's also written some of my favorite books in The Flash, and his Robin book has been very impressive. I do have to commend the artist Jorge Molina, who has killed the concept design. He's going to be doing this art with him. Jorge Jimenez is solicited to come back after the Abyss arc. For those of you who don't know who Abyss is, he is the new villain that they are going to introduce. But some of the things I'm worried about is some of the characters that Tynion came in. Now, we all know who James Tynion is. He's doing a lot of great work, and we know that he's also going over to Substack because his brand, The Tiny Onion, has kicked off with a lot of his independent books becoming household projects that we haven't had that much excitement since Invincible, Saga, to say the least, right? Or Southern Bastard, some of these classic indie books. What do you think, Chad? What are your thoughts?
Substack has been absolutely blowing up lately. I'm subscribed to Scott Snyder's Substack. I know Chip Zdarsky has one as well. Tons and tons of writers are jumping on the Substack game, and honestly, I cannot blame them at all. This is a platform where they can publish whatever they want. They can do it at their own pace, really, as long as they don't piss off their audience, and so they'll keep getting those subscriptions. But they have total creative control, and I mean, working on a title like Batman, for instance, is incredibly oversaturated. There is tons of Batman media. Finding a new direction to go with Batman can be difficult for any writer. I was reading Chip Zdarsky's newsletter recently on his Substack, and he said, James, I do not blame you one bit for calling it quits with Batman. I mean, there are movies, there are TV shows, there's tons of Batman stuff going on. So to be the writer on Batman is an incredibly difficult and draining task. So James is saying, you know what? I've been on Batman for a couple of years now, and I think I'm ready to just do my own thing. And I gotta give him a round of applause for that.
Right. Honestly, James has done his best working with the Batman crew, because going into 5G, it was like, okay, what are we going to do? And Tynion's like, I got my story. And he was supposed to be a fill-in writer that ended up being a larger tale because DC's like, hey, you're doing a good job. Or the sales were higher than they were previously towards the end of the Tom King run. Of course, anything was going to be higher after Future State. But the real thing that people don't know is editorial was constantly kind of shat on James Tynion, especially with his Justice League Dark, especially with his Detective Comics he did Rebirth, where he didn't really get to finish his tale on that before giving it to Tomasi because they were nearing 1,000 and they wanted Tomasi to do it, even though Tynion would have done a very good job, which looking back, we could say that. Tomasi did a great job as well, but Tynion was more than capable of doing it himself. I also don't blame. I commend him for saying, "Hey, I want something that I can call my own."
Yeah.
He's also created a Batman legacy that he can call his own, and there have been a lot of characters out there that I don't want DC to cancel out because that'll ruin his legacy on the character, on the title, and everything he kind of worked so hard for. Because that's a very difficult task, especially when Batman is basically your side job. So, creating characters like Punchline, Miracle Molly, Ghostmaker, I have theories for where they're gonna go. Eventually, I think Ghostmaker is supposed to get his own series. That's known. But I think that he is gonna team up with Harley. That villain over there will be Punchline, because I don't know if you guys have been reading that backup story, but she's been breaking away from the Joker. I think she's gonna cut ties with the Joker. I would love for Miracle Molly's role to be expanded. If Batgirl ever goes back into the field, I could totally see Miracle Molly becoming Oracle, and that would be a very good role for her because she's very tech savvy and she's very much looking out for the community in Gotham. It's just she's been tilted the wrong way. So I could definitely see that happening. Clown Hunter, I think they're going to take away from Gotham. Clown Hunter's been a very interesting character, and he has a lot of energy. He's very much like a Jason Todd character, and I think Jason Todd had the biggest growth when he left Gotham. I think they're going to do the same thing with Clown Hunter, and they're going to throw him in the Nightwing book and kind of have Nightwing bring him up to speed, much like the way Nightwing helped Damian following Batman's departure from the mantle or death at the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing when a writer leaves the book, but to carry on their work and their legacy, I mean, James Tynion has added tons of new characters and tons of very well-received characters as well. Not every character has been a hit. He's had some misses, but fans have really been appreciating all the new faces we've been seeing in Gotham lately. So I hope, I'm sure Joshua Williamson has his own plans, his own new characters. But like you said, I hope DC keeps some of the Tynion's characters and just puts them out there more, puts them in new situations and lets them, become characters in their own right outside of the Batman book.
100%, especially like a character like Ghostmaker who has ties to Batman's history. You can't really throw that away. Also, Abyss kind of seems like a cool character that Williamson can play around with. The one thing that I can say is the costume design looks very much like the Batman Incorporated costume. If anyone has read it, it was a story by Grant Morrison. Phenomenal. I would check it out, because recs are good here. We give you guys good recs. But that was a very gritty story that I think Williamson can match that level of grit with Batman. He's done it before. He's written Batman, Superman, which during the Batman Who Laughs era, which was great. He's written a few other books that are not coming to mind right now. But he's had his time with Batman. He wrote Justice League for a short period of time. But yeah, I hope that editorial doesn't get in the way. And with Williamson as a writer, he's proved that he can spotlight a character surrounded by a family, right? In his Flash run, he included Jesse Quick, Impulse. He included Wally for a good time. He included Wallace, Iris, the majority of he included a lot of Flash family members in there, right? But still giving Barry that spotlight for him to go out and grow as a character. And I really want that, especially after reading the Robins issue from this week. I think that he can do that with the Bat family and make Bruce kind of learn from them. So that's ultimately a combination between Batman Incorporated and Tynion's Detective Comics run and just marrying the two together. And I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I have high hopes for Williamson's run. Personally, I was not the biggest fan of Tynion's Batman run. I read a couple of issues, and it was hit or miss for me. It wasn't like 100% every issue I enjoyed. There were parts of it I absolutely loved, but for the most part, it kind of just sunk under my radar. Right. With Williamson, it's been very hit or miss with his work as well. Some of his stuff I really, really liked, but I remember reading his Future State Justice League book, and that was pretty atrocious. At least the first issue was. I was reading it and I was like, this is like, I felt like he didn't really put any planning into it. And I think that might have been because he was like with Future State, he was on a couple of titles. So I feel like maybe he got a little bit drained there. And I'm sure he was trying to plan out Infinite Frontier, which I haven't been reading, but I've also heard bad things about. I will say that I have read this past like a good portion of this past week's Robin title, and I really liked what he did with the Bat family. Like
Right.
the interaction between Damian and Dick in there was incredible. And then I really liked what he did with Stephanie Brown, the spoiler, and also Jason Todd. And so that actually reading that, I was like, wow, like if this guy is going on the Batman title, I think that this has a lot of potential because some of my favorite moments with Batman are with the extended Batman family.
Right.
And Joshua Williamson seems to understand that. So I really hope that we're going to see more of the Bat family in the main Batman title because not that they've been shunned per se, but they haven't.
They're
They've always
overshadowed.
yes, they've always taken a back seat. But I think some of my favorite stories, like if you see Batman Hush, by Jeff Loeb, the Bat family is integral to the telling of that
Right.
story.
Or Batman Eternals, another great tale for that.
Exactly. So I think Joshua Williamson, as long as he doesn't get overwhelmed, I think he can have a pretty decent Batman run.
Right. And even do the same thing with the Flash family as well. Honestly, like for Batman fans, a lot of Batman books read the same way because they're the same characters, the same plot line, and at the end of the day, Batman's gonna outsmart everyone because with a little prep time, Batman can do everything, eat my ass. Anyway, so my favorite part, just like yours, is when the Bat family is there for Bruce to kind of pick him up after a struggle or to even just be there for each other, because that really shows Bruce's legacy after so many years in comics, more years than most other superheroes. Seeing the legacy that he has on these characters, Dick Grayson becoming an adult, mentoring Dick, Jason Todd kind of forgiving, accepting, and moving forward. And now we're seeing that with Clown Hunter, which is like the next generation. I can totally see that. And Miracle Molly. I can definitely see them being like the next generation of animated characters that we're going to see on the big screen in like 10 or so years, even 7. But I hope that Tynion can use that tone in the Robins, not as silly, but keep that same interaction that we love, because that's what makes a modern Batman book for me feel refreshing.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I hadn't read Grant Morrison's run until after I read Scott Snyder's, and after that, I realized how similar Scott Snyder's was towards Grant Morrison, and that
Without
like
Damian, though.
exactly. And one of the things that Scott Snyder did was he used the Bat family incredibly sparingly. They showed up in Death of the Family, but in the Court of Owls arc, the first 14 issues or so of his run, they were hardly there. And and when you did see Robin or Damian, like you got excited. I was like, yes, like they're there, but it was just like, teasing us.
Same thing in Tom King's run. Like they were there until David Finch left the book, and Tom was like, "I need to cut the characters we're drawing."
Exactly. I honestly, I hope they didn't just thrust the book onto Williamson because they said we need a new writer. I hope that Williamson said, "Can I write this?" Because
right,
having a writer who wants to write the book means he's going to put more effort into the project.
Right. And Williamson has always cared about the solo titles that he's worked on. I don't know if y'all have ever met Joshua Williamson, but he is a very fun, charismatic person, which is why he's able to capture youthful characters so well. I want him to bring back Young Justice. That's a different story. Teen Titans Academy should have gone to Joshua Williamson. That's another different story. But I'm excited. I think he can really capture characters very well. It's just when they all deserve equal attention, like in Infinite Frontier, in Justice League, he fails.
That's absolutely.
But I'm excited. I'm excited for this. I'm pumped.
He did that with the Bat family in like this week's issue of Robin so well. He juggled them all really well, and like that it made me so surprised because I'm like, wait a minute, this is the guy that can like hardly keep a team book together. Like it gets all mangled up, all the threads. But when all the characters are all focused on the same thing, that's when he really shines. When I feel like when he has too many threads going on, he gets them mixed up.
Right. I can agree with this comment, but I also very much disagree with it. I can see what you're saying. I love the Bat family just because I love characters that have depth and are never pursued. But anyway, you guys, if you want more of Chad, make sure you follow Ryan and Chad. Okay, their link is in the description below. All the tag team creators are in the description below. Also, shout out to my guy, Ian Hoodrat Comics, who started his own channel. His link is in the description below, so definitely show some love over there. A lot of links to follow. Make sure you give everyone a sub. Support each other. Like I said, it's free, and we have to go over hang out with Justin Noga Comics, which you guys are already sub for because he's a legend in the making. But yeah, if you guys want to leave a comment, leaving your thoughts, go for it, right? That's highly encouraged. I'm excited for this Williamson run more than anything. I just want to be honest and get all my thoughts out there. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace out.